The park bench that should have been empty. Late night walker sees someone sitting on a bench. But CCTV shows the bench was empty the whole time. There are some things your eyes can't explain. Some shapes you shouldn't see after midnight. And sometimes, the thing you pass by on a quiet night walk was never really there. Tonight's story isn't about what was caught on CCTV. It's about what wasn't. My name is Daniel Ortiz. 37 years old. Graphic designer. Insomniac. For the last 6 months, I've had a routine, a long walk through Westwood Park at around 1:30 a.m. Not because I love nature. Not because I feel safe. But because my mind refuses to shut off unless I've burned out every thought buzzing inside. The city is quiet at that hour. Too quiet. Even the stray dogs sleep. Streetlights hum like tired ghosts. And the small park near my apartment becomes a different world, a darker version of itself. There's a trail I follow every night. A straight path from the north entrance to the small lake. It takes about 12 minutes to cross. On the left side of that path, halfway through, there's an old wooden bench. The kind that creaks when you sit. The kind old couples use on Sunday mornings. The kind kids carve initials into. I've passed that bench at least 80 times. And never, not once, have I seen anybody sitting on it after midnight. Until last Thursday it was colder than usual that night. A kind of cold that bites slowly, like teeth testing your skin. I put my hands in my pockets, walked faster, and looked straight ahead. That's when I saw him. A figure. Sitting on the bench. Still. Unmoving. Staring straight ahead. A man, at least I thought it was a man, wearing a dark coat. Hunched slightly. Face angled downward, like he was listening to something I couldn't hear. I slowed down. Not because I was scared. But because something felt wrong. No one comes to that bench at that hour. No one sits in the cold, in the dark, without a phone, a dog, or a reason. The figure didn't turn. Didn't react. Didn't breathe loudly, shift, cough, anything. Just sat there. As I walked past him, I tried to glance at his face. Just one quick look. But all I saw was nothing. Just a black blur where a face should have been. Not a shadow cast by the hood. Not bad lighting. Just absence. Like someone erased it. My heart thumped once, hard, but I forced myself to keep walking. People wear weird clothes. Hoods cast shadows. Cameras play tricks on the eyes. That's what I told myself. When I reached the lake, I turned around. The figure was still there. Still motionless. Still staring at nothing. I didn't stay long after that. The next night, I told myself not to take the trail. But habits are habits, and my insomnia had gotten worse. So at 1:30 a.m., I walked into Westwood Park again. As soon as I reached the halfway point, my chest tightened. The bench was there. The man was there. Same posture. Same coat. Same featureless face. This time, I walked slower, not out of fear, but curiosity. I wanted to see him clearly. Understand what I saw. When I passed him, I felt something. A shift in the air. Like walking through a pocket of freezing wind. My breath fogged heavily, more than the night should have allowed. It was as if he was cold enough to change the temperature around him. But again. He didn't move. Didn't turn. Didn't acknowledge me. I reached the lake. Turned around. He was still there, still as stone. But something was different. His head was slightly raised. As if he was now watching me walk away. I didn't go back to check. Didn't walk past him again. I took the long, uncomfortable detour, avoiding the bench entirely. That's when the fear finally set in. 2 days later, I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to know who, or what, that man was. So at noon, broad daylight, I went to the small security office near the park entrance. It's run by an old man named Harris. Retired police. Always drinking coffee. Always suspicious of everyone. When I told him I'd seen someone sitting on the bench late at night, he frowned. Harris. Nobody sits on that bench after midnight. Not since the robbery in 2019. Me. I've seen him. 2 nights in a row. He looked at me for a long moment. Then sighed. Harris. You must have seen a homeless guy. Happens sometimes. Let's check the footage. He pulled up the cameras. Multiple angles. Infrared night mode. Grainy but clear enough to see shapes. He rewound to 1:30 a.m., the time I usually pass the bench. There I was. Walking down the path. And then. Nothing. Just me. Alone. Walking past an empty bench. Me. No, wait, go back. I passed someone. He was right there. Harris rewound again. Slowed the footage. Zoomed in. Still nothing. No figure. No coat. No faceless man. Just me walking by. Looking tense. Glancing sideways. As if I was seeing something the camera couldn't. Harris scratched his beard. Harris. There was no one there, son. Me. But I saw him. Twice. Harris. And the camera didn't. Which means. He stopped. Didn't finish the sentence. But the silence said enough. That night, I didn't want to go back. But curiosity is a disease. And mine was terminal. At 1:30 a.m., I stepped into the park again. The moon was hidden behind clouds. The path was darker than it had ever been. The air felt thicker. As I approached the bench, my legs slowed on their own. He was there. But this time, he wasn't sitting. He was standing. Right in front of the bench. Facing me. Still motionless. Still faceless. The hood of his coat was down now. And where there should have been eyes, a nose, a mouth. There was only smooth skin. Like a wax figure half-formed. I froze. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. He didn't walk. Didn't drift. He simply appeared 10 feet closer. I blinked. And he was suddenly 5 feet away. Blink again. 2 feet. No footsteps. No sound. Just instant proximity. My instincts kicked in and I ran back toward the gate. But the air felt thick, heavy, like something was pulling me back. My breaths came sharp and painful. I stumbled out of the park, collapsed under a streetlight, and didn't stop shaking for a full minute. When I finally looked back. The path behind me was empty. No figure. No movement. Just the bench. Silent. Waiting. The next morning, I went online. If this was a spirit, a shadow, a hallucination, someone must have seen it before. I found something. A small article from 1994. Barely readable. Archived. A man had died on that bench. Late at night. Froze to death during an unexpected cold snap. He wasn't identified for 3 days. No wallet. No documents. Nothing. The article calls him the Faceless Man of Westwood Park. Authorities never found his family. Never found who he was. Police files listed him as unidentified male, approximate, 40 to 50, extreme facial damage due to exposure. Facial damage. Exposure. Cold. Suddenly the pieces made sense. What I saw wasn't a person. Wasn't alive. Wasn't caught on CCTV because he wasn't there physically. He was the echo of someone who died alone on that bench. Someone the world forgot. Someone whose face had frozen into something unrecognizable. I should have stayed home. I should have ignored the urge. But people like me don't learn from fear. We chase it. So tonight, for the final time, I went back. The moment I stepped inside the park, the air felt colder than ice. My breath came out in heavy clouds. I walked slowly, deliberately, toward the bench. And there he was. Standing beside it. Waiting. Facing me. But this time, he moved. Not teleporting. Not appearing. Actually moving. Slow. Stiff. Like frozen joints cracking with each step. He raised a hand. A pale, rigid hand. Pointing at the bench. Inviting me. Beckoning. My legs trembled. My body screamed to run. But something else. Something deep inside. Wanted to know. I stepped forward. 1 step. 2. 3. The figure stopped moving. Stopped pointing. Then. He slowly sat down on the bench. Like he had been waiting for company. For years. The moment he touched the wood. A sound echoed. A long, painful creak. Then I realized. He wasn't asking me to sit with him. He was showing me something. His head tilted downward. Toward the bench's wooden surface. And carved into it. Were 2 fresh words. Sit. Please. My blood went cold. Because I knew. Deep down. The dead don't use knives. Don't carve messages. Someone else carved that. Recently. Someone alive. Someone who had seen him too. Someone still out there. A twig snapped behind me. I spun around. But the path was empty. I turned back to the bench. The figure was gone. Just empty wood. Empty space. Empty night. The next morning, I went to Harris again. Begged him to check the cameras. He sighed, annoyed, and replayed last night's footage. There I was. Walking toward the bench. I stopped. Stared at nothing. Reached out toward empty space. Backed away. Ran. The bench was empty the whole time. But something else wasn't. On the camera's far left corner, almost missed. A human hand appears behind a tree. Real. Flesh. Not faceless. Not a ghost. Someone was watching me. Hiding. Following. Not the faceless man. Someone alive. Someone carving messages. Someone who wanted me to sit. Harris paused the footage. Harris. That's not a spirit. Someone's playing games in that park. And they're using the legend to bait people. He looked at me. Grave. Cold. Harris. You're lucky you didn't sit. And then he said the part that still keeps me awake. Harris. Because the last person who did. Never went home. Some benches are meant to be empty. And some things you see at night. Are not meant to be seen at all. If you made it this far. Then you already understand. The world is far stranger than we choose to admit. And if you ever find yourself walking past a lonely park bench. After midnight. Don't look twice. Some things notice, when you pay attention. For more stories just like this, make sure you hit subscribe. So you never miss what comes out after dark. And if you have a creepy experience, A strange encounter. Or a story that still keeps you awake. Send it to me. I might feature it in the next video. If your story is chilling enough to be told.